Staying informed about what's happening around the world can sometimes feel like a full-time job you didn't apply for. One minute, you're trying to figure out why the price of milk went up, and the next, you're learning about an election in a country thousands of miles away. But here's the thing, our world is incredibly connected, much like a giant, complicated neighborhood. What happens in one house, whether it's a big political drama or a major decision, can often affect everyone else on the block. It might not seem like it at first, but these global events have a way of sending ripples across the planet, influencing everything from our economy to our culture. Think of it this way. Not paying attention to global news is like living in an apartment building and ignoring the fire alarm because it's not coming from your unit. Sooner or later, you might find the smoke seeping under your door. Welcome to Adere, Africa. Understanding international events gives you a better map of the world you live in. It helps you see the bigger picture, connect the dots between different stories, and grasp why things are the way they are. It's about being a citizen of the world, not just your own town. Today, we're looking at two big stories that might seem far apart, but they both tell us something important about power, politics, and how countries relate to each other. First, we're heading to Cameroon, a nation in Central Africa that is getting ready for a presidential election. This isn't just any election though. It's a story about a leader who has been in power for a very, very long time and wants to stay even longer. Then we'll switch continents to look at the United States and its on-again, off-again relationship with a major international organization. Both of these headlines are unfolding right now on this day, July 24, 2025, and they offer a fascinating glimpse into the challenges and changes shaping our modern world. So, grab a seat, because class is in session and the subject is global affairs. Following these stories isn't just for politicians or experts, it's for everyone. It helps us understand the struggles and hopes of people in different parts of the world, reminding us that we all share similar desires for stability, fairness, and a better future for our children. It's a way to build empathy and recognize our shared humanity, even when we are separated by borders and oceans. When we learn about an election in Cameroon or a policy change in the US, we are learning more about the complex, interconnected, and often dramatic story of us. Let's dive in. In the heart of Africa, the nation of Cameroon is gearing up for a presidential election on October 12, 2025, and the main headline is a familiar one. The current president, Paul Biya, has announced that he is running for an 8th term in office. Now, this is where it gets interesting. President Biya is 92 years old. He has already been the leader of Cameroon for nearly 43 years, which is longer than many of the country's citizens have been alive. To put that into perspective, when he first came into power in 1982, the internet as we know it didn't exist, and the first mobile phone was still a year away from being sold. He is currently the world's oldest head of state. Despite his long tenure, President Biya's decision to run again has created quite a stir, even within his own political party. He has become something of a mysterious figure in his own country, as his public appearances are now incredibly rare. For long stretches, sometimes for over a month, he is not seen at all, leading to widespread rumors and speculation about his health and his ability to govern. Most of his time is reportedly spent either at his private palace or on extended private trips to Geneva, Switzerland, leaving the day-to-day management of the country to his aides. This has made many Cameroonians wonder who is truly in charge. The announcement of his candidacy also broke with tradition. Usually, his party, the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, would hold meetings and consultations before choosing their leader. This time, however, President Biya announced his decision directly, seemingly bypassing his own party structure. This has caused some discontent within the CPDM, with reports of cracks beginning to show in the foundation of his power base. Some of his former allies and even government ministers have decided to break away and have announced that they will run for president themselves, a sign that his once unquestionable authority might be weakening. So, you have a situation where the world's oldest president, who is rarely seen in public, is seeking to extend his 43-year rule until he is nearly 100 years old. He says he is running because the people have been calling for him to do so. But his campaign is being managed by his Secretary General, not through the usual party channels. It's a political drama filled with questions about health, power, and what the future holds for a nation of over 28 million people. The stage is set for an election that will be watched closely, both inside and outside of Cameroon, to see if this long chapter of its history will continue. While President Biya prepares for another run, The opposition trying to challenge him faces a major hurdle. It is deeply fragmented. Instead of uniting behind one strong candidate to present a unified front, nearly 30 different people have applied to run for president. This division makes it much easier for the incumbent to win, as the votes against him will be split among many different challengers. Among the key opposition figures are Maurice Kamto, who came in second in the controversial 2018 election, and other prominent names like Cabral Libby and Joshua Osi. However, with no single leader to rally around, their chances of mounting a serious challenge are slim. This political drama is unfolding against a backdrop of serious challenges facing the average Cameroonian. Despite the country being rich in natural resources like oil and cocoa, nearly 40% of the population lives below the poverty line. There is deep inequality where a small elite enjoys wealth, while many struggle with basic needs. Welcome to Adire Africa. Youth unemployment is extremely high, leaving a generation of young, educated people without opportunities and with a growing sense of frustration. These economic hardships are a major source of discontent and are key issues that any leader, new or old, will have to address to ensure stability. On top of the economic problems, Cameroon is also dealing with major security crises in different parts of the country. In the north, the nation's military is fighting the extremist group Boko Haram, a conflict that has caused immense suffering and displacement. Meanwhile, in its English-speaking regions, a violent separatist conflict has been raging for years. This crisis, often called the Anglophone crisis, began with protests over the perceived marginalization of the English-speaking minority and has since escalated into a brutal war, leading to thousands of deaths and forcing hundreds of thousands from their homes. These conflicts drain the country's resources and create constant instability. So as the election approaches, the stakes for Cameroon are incredibly high. The country is at a crossroads, burdened by poverty, high unemployment, and two separate armed conflicts. The fragmented opposition struggles to present a credible alternative, while the 92-year-old president promises continuity. For the people of Cameroon, this election is not just about who will sit in the presidential palace. It is about whether there will be a new approach to solving the deep-seated problems that affect their daily lives, from finding a job to feeling safe in their own communities. The outcome will determine the country's direction for years to come. Shifting our focus across the Atlantic, there's another major headline today. The United States has announced it is once again withdrawing from UNESCO. UNESCO stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Think of it as the part of the UN that works to protect important historical sites, promote education for all, and foster scientific cooperation between countries. This isn't the first time the US has packed its bags and left. It has a complicated history with the organization. This time, the reason given for their departure is that the organization is allegedly promoting woke causes, a term often used to criticize progressive social policies. This move is significant because it signals a shift in how the United States wants to engage with the rest of the world. By leaving a major international body like UNESCO, the US is stepping back from a platform for global cooperation. This can weaken the organization itself, as the US has historically been one of its largest funders. It also means that the American perspective will be absent when important global decisions about culture, science, and education are made. It's like leaving a group project. The project will continue, but your ideas won't be part of the final result, and the remaining members have to pick up the slack. So, how do these two seemingly unrelated stories, an election in Cameroon and a US policy change, connect? They both highlight crucial themes in our world today: leadership and cooperation. In Cameroon, we see a story about leadership that has been in place for decades, raising questions about democracy, change, and the future of a nation. For the people of Cameroon, the outcome of their election will directly impact their security, their economic opportunities, and their basic rights. Their future hangs in the balance, depending on whether the country continues on its current path or chooses a new direction. For the rest of the world, these events serve as important reminders. This is Adire Africa. Thanks for watching. The situation in Cameroon shows how fragile democracy can be, and how the concentration of power in one person's hands for too long can stifle a country's development. Meanwhile, the US exit from UNESCO shows a trend of countries pulling back from international cooperation, which could make it harder to solve global problems like climate change, pandemics, or protecting our shared cultural heritage. In an interconnected world, what happens in one nation's election or one government's policy